There are exactly 7 statements that will make a narcissist pull back from you as though you've just held up something sacred to a dark force. The real power of these statements is not that they are unkind or hurtful, but rather because they are true. And narcissists, more than anything else, are deeply afraid of the truth. Let's be completely honest about this fact. Most people fail and fail badly when they try to confront a narcissist. Why? Because they willingly step into a conflict zone of the narcissist's choosing, armed with methods that are not only ineffective but actually strengthen the opponent. You bring your feelings, your sense of justice, your wish for peace and understanding to the narcissist. These qualities are not tools for closeness. They are weaknesses to be used against you. In short, you're essentially trying to have a reasonable conversation with a massive storm. It's a hopeless mission. The core mistake is simple. You think you're in a friendly discussion when you are, in reality, in a psychological war. The narcissist builds an altered world, a twisted version of reality where they are the heroic, wronged center of the universe, and you are the flawed, foolish, and constantly obligated supporting character. Every emotional burst you have, your frustration, your sorrow, your desperate pleas, is you agreeing to use their map. You are confirming their warped reality by staying within its boundaries, and on that territory, they will always come out ahead. The major shift in power happens the moment you stop reacting and start responding. An emotional reaction is a sudden, uncontrolled release of energy. It's the sudden jerk, the scream, the burst. A strategic response, on the other hand, is a quiet, deliberate act of resolve. It is the conscious choice to toss their map into the fire and to stand on the foundation of what you know is real. This is where language becomes your most effective tool, not a weapon to strike them with, but as the material to build a structure of reality so firm that their delusions simply can't break it. To understand why this works, you need to look closer. You must grasp what truly drives the engine of narcissism. What is a narcissist genuinely afraid of beneath the grand displays and the self-praising speeches? It isn't your anger. It isn't your logic. It is simply being exposed. Their entire personality is a defense built piece by agonizing piece around a core of deep inadequacy and shame. It's a grand, gleaming fortress built to hide a frightened, wounded inner self. This is not an excuse for their actions, not at all. It is a key observation for your strategy. Their greatest fear is that someone will spot the cracks in the fortress wall, that someone will catch a glimpse of the pitiful reality they are trying so hard to hide. They live in constant fear of being truly seen. This is why certain words, spoken with clarity and without hostility, act as psychological triggers. These words don't attack the fortress. They simply illuminate it. They hold up a mirror. And in that mirror, the narcissist is forced to see not the godlike image they have of themselves, but the faint outline of the fraud they are terrified they might be. This is the deepest form of the psychology of shame. They are not afraid you will harm them. They are afraid you will see them for what they are, and that this seeing itself will destroy the illusion they depend on for their very existence. I want you to really sit with this for a moment. Take a pause and think. Have you ever said something to a difficult person that made them instantly back off and you couldn't quite figure out why it worked? Maybe you were just weary. Perhaps you ran out of energy to argue, and you said something simple and direct, and suddenly the chaos stopped. There's a method to this, a deep psychological truth. I want you to think back to your own moments like that. As we explore this further, what exactly did you say? What was your tone? And what was the outcome? You may have discovered this principle without even realizing it. This leads us to the structure of verbal boundaries. Let's be absolutely clear. Setting a boundary with language is not an act of aggression. Aggression is an attempt to control or hurt another person. Assertive truth-telling, which is what we are discussing, is an act of self-control. It is the refusal to let someone else determine your reality. Picture it like a line-marking property. Aggression is entering your neighbor's space. Setting a boundary is simply standing on your own ground and stating calmly and firmly, you are not allowed to cross this line. The statements themselves, which we'll get to, are only one part of the solution. Your tone and delivery are what give them their strength. A boundary yelled in anger is not a boundary. It's an invitation to a fight. It signals that you are still operating on the territory of emotion, and the narcissist will gladly join you there. But a boundary stated with the calm, steady finality of a mathematical fact, that is something their mind cannot easily process. It's like attempting to divide by zero. It breaks the established rules of the interaction. Your quiet confidence becomes a mirror reflecting their chaos, and it's a sight they cannot bear. So what happens when you learn to do this? What is the deep transformation waiting for you beyond this fear? It's not just about managing a difficult relationship, it's about a fundamental change in who you are. The respect you will start to receive from others, and most importantly from the narcissist, is not something they choose to give you. It is something that naturally appears as a result of your own self-respect. You stop being a piece in their game because you have chosen to stop playing. You begin the process of moving from being a character in their story to becoming the author of your own. And that truly is where genuine strength lies. Here's a thought that might make you uneasy. Narcissists don't disrespect you because you're weak. They disrespect you because they sense you possess something they desperately want but can never truly hold. Authentic self-worth, and that terrifies them. The selection of a target by a narcissist is not a random act of cruelty. It's a calculated hunting strategy, an instinct sharpened over a lifetime of seeking what they lack. Picture a pack of predators. They don't just attack any animal in the group. They observe, they test, they look for a specific combination of traits. And contrary to what you might assume, they are not typically drawn to the weakest members. They are often drawn to the strongest, to the ones with the most life force, because that is where the greatest reward lies. So what qualities make you so powerfully appealing to a manipulator? First and foremost, your empathy, your capacity to feel, to understand, to give the benefit of the doubt. This is a foreign language to the narcissist, but one they know how to exploit. They view your empathy not as a strength, but as an unlocked entry point. Your competence is another signal. You excel at what you do. You have abilities, you have discipline, you achieve results. This competence is a resource they wish to take over and claim as their own. It supports their illusion of great importance. And finally, your integrity, your basic decency, your commitment to truth, your desire to do the right thing. This is perhaps the most powerful attraction of all. Because you are honest, you assume others are too. Because you are conscientious, you cannot easily imagine someone who acts without a conscience. Your strength, surprisingly, becomes your weakness. This is the terrible twist of the predator relationship. The very light you possess is what draws the darkness to you. The narcissist sees your integrated self, your genuine capacity for caring and achievement, and it is both a source of deep envy and a target for destruction. They want to consume it, and failing that, to destroy it, so that its existence no longer reminds them of their own empty core. Once a target is chosen, the testing begins. And you must understand these are not obvious attacks. Not at first. They are subtle probes, psychological tests designed to measure your defenses. It might be a minor backhanded compliment. It might be a commitment that is quickly forgotten. It might be a joke made at your expense that is just sharp enough to hurt, but delivered lightly enough that if you object, you're the one seen as having no sense of humor. Each of these is a small experiment. The narcissist is asking a silent question. Will you put up with this? Can I get away with this? Your reaction, or lack of one, is the data they collect. If you laugh it off, if you invent excuses for them, if you let it go for the sake of keeping the peace, you have just given them all the information they need. You have shown them the roadmap to your boundaries, and based on that data, they increase the violation. The forgotten promise becomes a broken agreement. The sarcastic joke becomes a humiliating insult in front of other people. It is a step-by-step, gradual violation of your personal space. This is the crucial distinction between normal human disagreements and the calculated disrespect of a narcissist. In a healthy relationship, conflict arises and is resolved. It's a mutual process. With a narcissist, it isn't a conflict. It's a campaign. It is a systematic erosion of your standards, one small act of disrespect at a time, until you find yourself standing on ground you swore you would never give up. This increase is what I call the disrespect cycle, and it is a form of psychological manipulation as damaging as any ever conceived. It starts with a small offense. You feel a twinge of irritation, a sense of unfairness, but you ignore it. Why? Because you're a good person. You don't want to create a scene over something so minor. But that small violation, once accepted, becomes the new minimum standard for the relationship. The next violation will be a little larger, and the one after that larger still. The narcissist needs you to accept this rising pattern of poor treatment because it serves a vital purpose. It constantly confirms their warped reality. In their world, they are entitled to special treatment, and your acceptance of their disrespect is your silent agreement. You are being trained step by step to accept what is unacceptable. Each time you fail to hold the line moves. And what's truly unsettling is how quickly a person can adjust. The human mind is built for adaptation, but that feature can be turned against us. Disrespect, when it is constant and gradual, can begin to feel normal. The state of being on edge, of walking carefully, of constantly trying to manage their moods, this becomes your new normal. You forget what it felt like to be treated with simple, basic decency. The abnormal has been normalized. So, why do good, caring, conscientious people so often struggle to even recognize this process as it's happening? The main reason is that your internal response patterns are working against you. Your natural desire for harmony, for smoothing things over, for seeing the best in people, is a disadvantage in this scenario. You project your own decency onto them. You think they can't possibly mean it that way, or they're just having a rough day. You engage in a form of self-deception because the idea that this person is deliberately and systematically disrespecting you is a thought too terrible to consider. This leads to a deep and weakening self-doubt. You start to question your own view of things. Am I being too sensitive? Am I overreacting? This is the narcissist's most effective trick, to convince you that the problem isn't their behavior but your reaction to it. You become an unreliable narrator in the story of your own life. But there comes a point, a breaking point. It might be a disrespect so clear, so undeniable that it shatters the fog of self-doubt. It is the moment when the combined weight of all the small violations becomes too much to bear. It is a moment of frightening clarity when you see the pattern for what it is, and you realize with a certainty that chills you that something fundamental must change. And that change begins not with them but with you. What I'm about to share with you are not insults or attacks. These are precise tools of truth. When you use these statements, you're not trying to hurt them. You are establishing reality, and for a narcissist, reality is the most dangerous weapon of all. Statement 1. I see what you're doing. There is perhaps no phrase more terrifying to a manipulator than this one. Why? Because their entire way of operating depends on the ability to deny their true intentions. They thrive in the confusion of ambiguity, the subtle hostile comment, the slight put-down, the innocent question meant to create insecurity. These are their methods precisely because they can retreat from them. They can claim you misunderstood, that you're too sensitive. But the statement, I see what you're doing, cuts through that fog like a powerful light. It is a declaration that you are not fooled. You are not a piece in their game. You are a conscious observer of it. You are pulling back the curtain and revealing the pathetic little person operating the controls. This phrase requires no explanation. You don't need to detail what you see. The power is in the ambiguity of your awareness. It communicates the game is over, I know your moves. And in that moment, the power balance shifts permanently. You have taken away their main weapon, the disguise of pretended innocence. They are exposed, and exposure is a narcissist's deepest fear. Statement 2. That's not my responsibility. The narcissist is a master of handing off responsibility. Their failures, their bad moods, their chaotic lives, these are never their fault. They are, in their mind, a consequence of your failings, your lack of support, your inability to foresee their needs. They hand you the heavy burden of their own emotional and practical problems and expect you to carry it. What the phrase, that's not my responsibility, does is hand that burden right back. It is a radical act of boundary setting. It draws a clear and distinct line around your own personal authority. It states that you will be responsible for your own actions and emotions, and they must be responsible for theirs. This will feel strange at first, especially if you are a caring and conscientious person. You are naturally inclined to help, but you must learn the crucial difference between helping someone and enabling them. Carrying their emotional burdens for them is not helping. It is enabling their problem. When you refuse to take responsibility for their issues, you are not being unkind. You are forcing them, perhaps for the very first time, to face the results of their own choices. It is a freedom for both you and, in a strange and difficult way, for them too. Statement 3. I won't be spoken to that way. This is not a request, it is a rule. It is the establishment of a fundamental standard for respectful communication. Narcissists systematically lower your standards of treatment through increasing disrespect. They test you with small insults, and when you tolerate them, they escalate. This phrase stops that process immediately. It is vital that this is delivered with calm finality, not with anger. Anger says, you've hurt me. Calm finality says, that is a line you will not cross. There is a world of difference. One invites a fight, the other ends a violation. This is not a threat. A threat is, if you speak to me that way, I will. A boundary is simply a statement of what you will and will not accept. I won't be spoken to that way requires no further justification. It is a fundamental declaration of self-worth. It says, I am a person who deserves basic respect, and that is the admission price for interacting with me. Statement 4. Your feelings about this are not my problem. Narcissists turn their emotions into weapons. Their rage, their tears, their sulking, Their dramatic displays of victimhood, these are not genuine expressions of feeling. They are manipulative strategies designed to control your behavior. They want you to rush around trying to manage their emotional state, to satisfy their anger, to comfort their manufactured hurt. They make you believe that their emotional stability is your duty. This phrase cuts that manipulative connection. It is a deep declaration of emotional independence. It says you are a capable adult and you are solely responsible for your own emotional reactions. This will feel incredibly harsh because decent people feel a responsibility toward the emotions of others. But you must understand, you are not responsible for regulating the feelings of another adult. By refusing to take part in their emotional drama, you are returning self-determination to them. You are forcing them to sit with their own feelings instead of using them as a tool to control you. It is a powerful, game-changing statement that breaks down one of their most effective control methods. Statement 5. I don't need to justify myself to you. Have you ever found yourself in a never-ending argument with a narcissist, endlessly explaining and defending your decisions, your feelings, your very existence? This is a deliberate trap. They act as the prosecutor, and you are placed on the witness stand. They demand that you explain yourself, and the more you explain, the more ammunition you give them to twist your words and find new ways to attack. It's a game you can never win. Over-explaining is a position of weakness. It signals that you believe their approval is necessary for your decisions to be valid. The phrase, I don't need to justify myself to you, is your refusal to take the stand. It communicates that you are the ultimate authority in your own life. Your decisions are yours. Your reasons are yours. You do not require their validation or their permission. Standing in the quiet confidence of your own choices, without the desperate need for their approval, is an incredibly powerful position. Statement 6. This conversation is over. This is the emergency escape. It is the tool you use when a discussion has become a confusing, circular, exhausting speech designed to dominate and confuse you, not to communicate. You are not required to participate in a conversation that is going nowhere. You are not obligated to be an audience for their twisted logic and manipulation. Stating this conversation is over and then physically removing yourself by walking out of the room or ending the call is the ultimate proof of a verbal boundary. It demonstrates that your time and mental energy are valuable resources that you will not waste on pointless, harmful interactions. It shows through action that you mean what you say.